When it comes to professional wrestling, if you are talking about it, we are talking about it. Welcome to the WrestleChat Podcast with the AntMan.
Going in for a minor surgery today. A lot of people ask me, hey, are you nervous? Are you worried about it? The answer is no, and let me tell you why. Because the story is finished. Cody Rhodes is the undisputed WWE champion. And if this is the last of it, if this is it for me, from this minor surgery that millions of people have every day, I will die knowing that the story is finished. Good job, Cody. I was rooting for you.
The final chapter has been read, and boy, what an ending. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes, your brand new undisputed WWE champion. But unlike a Marvel movie, after the credits roll, we don't have to wait 3 years to see what happened to Iron Man. At most, it was 24 hours. Welcome to a new season of the WrestleChat Podcast. I am your host, the AntMan, excited to connect with you this morning on a trip to the pinnacle of pro wrestling, the weekend that was WrestleMania 40. Just like tying off the stitching on work on a brand new leather strap, it was done in quick fashion with a proverbial lighter, melting the ends to shear them up, presenting to us a brand new undisputed champion and brand new era in WWE. And with that, a brand new story begins. Thanks so much for hanging here for a bit this morning. We call this WrestleChat for a reason. I want to welcome you in with your thoughts on all that's gone down this week. See where you think it's, some of the stuff is headed, and we can discuss that too. As you saw at the top, Michael Glavitt is out this week. Happy to say he's recovering well with a bowl full of his favorite ice cream, some popsicles and sponge baths, although I'm not quite sure how sponge baths help you recover from a tonsillectomy, but I don't know. Who am I to question? I am excited to welcome in a fellow pro wrestling fan. Let's see if we tried this morning, see if we can get him on. It was frozen up. Hopefully we can get there. Your favorite homie, JR? Maybe. I'm going to take this off. There's we've had some issues already this morning. We tried for about 15, 20 minutes. It looks like on my end that he's here. I know that he's in there waiting, but we're not getting anything on the screen. So apologize for that, man. We'll keep trying to get him in here in just a little bit. He is a really cool guy who does a lot of videos on memorabilia that he's collected, mainly action figures, and man, the collection that he has. I wanted to bring him on to talk about that. And let's talk about WrestleMania 40, get this thing rolling. Surprised to see Sami pull in the IC title out from under Gunther, the longest reigning intercontinental champion ever. It's a story that I thought was a little rushed, but not a story that I thought was undeserving, because Sami is so stinking talented. He pulled from so many other encounters over the past few years, encounters that left him, on his back, staring at the lights more times than not. But with a new regime in charge at WWE and a brand new era that has begun, I'm excited to see what kind of reign that Sami has with that IC title. I mean, there's so many directions they could go with this, so many feuds they could go, that could happen here. I mean, the first one, it looks like it has already started off on Monday Night Raw, which we'll actually get to see coming up next week on Raw. He against Gable in Sami's home country. Is this going to be the feud moving forward? Or will this end that part of the story with those two, and we maybe see Gable move on to something else, and in turn Sami move on somewhere else? So I'd like to know your thoughts. You're watching right now on YouTube or X, or on Instagram or Twitter. I already said X, but or on Facebook. I'd love for you to chime in. Leave a comment with what you think about Sami being the brand new intercontinental champion, and would love to know your thoughts here today. And remember, if you're not following us on YouTube, make sure you do that. We've got two brand new title holders in. We've got Damian Priest with the brand new world title. Of course, Cody Rhodes with the brand new WWE Undisputed title. You could win one of those titles as long as you're subscribed to our YouTube. That's all you have to do is hit subscribe. You don't have to register somewhere else. give your blood type, social security number, nothing like that. Simply subscribe. Once we hit 10,000, we're going to do a drawing from everyone that is subbed to that account, and you get to pick which one you want, the world title or the WWE title. You'll get to pick if you win it. So make sure you're subbed to our YouTube. That's all you have to do. Another story that I thought felt a little rushed and also, a little overshadowed was Bayley versus Io. A little rushed in the sense that it felt as though, we went from a functional / dysfunctional faction to, I know what you said because I now speak Japanese and you're who I'm going to face because I won the Royal Rumble. However, to see Bayley with gold around her waist again makes me smile. And on SmackDown last night, we saw Bayley come out and say, I want to give the first opportunity to Naomi. I'm excited to see where this feud goes. And I see for all these first two, at least, the Intercontinental title and the women's undisputed title, they both feel like I like this other person and I think they're really, really good, and I'm going to give them a shot at the title. Not quite a feud yet. However, if we've learned anything, is to be patient and watch, because there's a lot that can happen in a very, very short amount of time. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that one as well. Hit me up in the comments. We'll share them here on the show and talk about it. I mean, it's me and you flying solo, still working on trying to get JR back in. If we do, we'll do that. But I'd love to hear from you. Hit the comments and let me know what you think about both the IC title run from Sami and also what we should see coming in the future here from Bayley. I'm excited that she has a title back around her waist.
Am I in?
You are. You're in. Do we just need an update,
bro? No, bro. I had to go to Old Reliable, freaking Firefox, to get myself in here, dog.
Google doesn't like you. Google doesn't like you. That's what it is.
No, I don't understand. Maybe it's because I'm always using Safari. They got some beef with me or something, bro. Golly, I'm sorry about that.
You're okay. You're okay. Listen, we started early. Trying to work this out. Imagine how far we'd be down the line if we'd waited till the last minute. But thank you for jumping
you're not
in.
kidding.
Dude, I followed you for a long time on Instagram, and I have loved your videos on your on all the collection that you have from Hits 95.7, if I'm right.
You got it, man. Yeah, here in Denver.
Your favorite homie, JR. Thank you for being on with us today. Good to have you, man.
Dude, this is so cool. I mean, earlier I was able to hear what you were kind of teeing up and all the things you were talking about. And I'm like, yeah, we had been trying to do this for a while. And then the moment that we get to, it's like just trying to jump through hoops, bro. But thanks for the kind words, man. I'm pumped to be here.
Love technology. Love that listen, all said and done, this is actually still fascinating to me that you can be in Denver, I can be in Austin, and we can jump on here and do this together. So excited to do this. Thanks for filling in for Michael today, man.
Yeah, I hope he gets well soon. I heard all about the sponge baths, that lucky duck.
I'll hear about that one later, if not later on in the comments here during the show. So, I'm assuming that you parked yourself in front of the TV for 2 big days of WrestleMania. Am I right?
No, I did, dude, for sure. Night one, I actually couldn't watch live because we had the Colorado Broadcast Awards that night, and we were up for 2 awards, so your boy had to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was trying to avoid social media the whole time that I was there, and eventually got back. We did win 2 awards, by the way. I want to put that out there. I was pretty proud about that. And stayed up till 3 a.m. to finish night one. It was brutal. But night 2, we did a watch party at Out the Box, which is a toy shop out here that I love.
Talking about staying up till 3, I was there with you. I was up till 3. I went to the press conference afterwards and ended up not going to bed. I'll say it was Eastern, so it was 2:00 Eastern. Was that 4:00? So yeah, I know the late night that night. I'm assuming that that you heard a little bit about the IC title. We were talking about that. What are your thoughts on Sami pulling that title out from underneath Gunther, the longest reigning Intercontinental champion?
Bro, what a great couple of years. What a great couple of WrestleManias Sami Zayn has really had, right?
He really has.
I mean, think about it. Main event last year in that banger of a tag team match, right? Like they just burnt it down. Sami is a guy that you can really invest in and really, he's such an underdog and you want to root for him because he's not jacked up. He's not ripped. He's not a giant. He's just like a scrapper. And I think that just relates to me and it relates to a lot of people out there. And for Sami to be the person to take Gunther off that pedestal, that huge reign. Like, I don't even remember how many days it was. It was so long that it's an amazing thing to see. And then WWE really was trying to make grown men cry all friggin' weekend, dude.
I do remember.
Sami,
I do remember the number of days because they left it on an awkward number: 666 days.
Okay, I thought that was the case, but I didn't want to be wrong and just put that number out there on your show.
Sure. Thank you, I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, WWE was hell bent on making grown men cry all weekend, and to see Sami do that and then celebrate with his wife and his kid, and it's just, I mean, that's why we love pro wrestling. It's that feel good stuff. It's the stories. And that was one of the better ones leading into the event.
Very interesting how many family connections were at this WrestleMania. That one with Sami, obviously the one with Cody, and even the one with Drew, him walking over and handing that title to, presenting it to his wife for just a moment. We'll get to that here in just a minute. First, the 6-way tag match for the perceived to be split tag titles went about how I thought it would go. Awesome Truth taking home the Raw tag titles, A-Town Down Under taking home the SmackDown tag titles. Kind of perceived to be the first, I would say, unofficial draft picks for the brand. I don't see them winning those titles and then having to get into the ring like Charlotte and Becky and awkwardly hand each other the other titles. Those matches can often be a cluster, though. It's hard to watch those live and catch everything. You don't know where to look. There's so much happening all the time. But how did you feel watching it on TV, JR?
I felt like it was super fun. You know, those aren't necessarily my favorite kind of matches. I'm more of a one-on-one or tag team kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just because you don't, like you said, you don't really know where to look. You don't know what to, try to find. But I'll tell you, the one thing that always relates to me in those type of matchups is obviously the big moves, right? But then I think more importantly is the comedy, and R-Truth brought the comedy, right? We're seeing spectacular stuff happen, dives and flips and, ladders breaking. But the moment R-Truth sticks out his hand for a tag, I got up off my seat and started screaming at the TV, make the tag. And then, of course, Miz makes the big tag and Truth comes in and tears it up. So I was super pumped to see Awesome Truth win. It's a little bit nostalgic for me. And as far as the title splitting up, I guess that makes sense, especially now, like you said, we know that the draft is on the way, and, Theory and, Waller, I'm not the biggest fan of those guys. So I was just like, come on, but at least the good guys left with something in that matchup.
It was cool to see R-Truth show up with a ladder to the right match as well.
Yes,
finally,
absolutely.
Not a Royal Rumble. Just curious, what do you not like about the other two, about Grayson Waller and Austin Theory?
That's a good question, and it's not anything against either of them. It's just I don't think they belong together. I think they should both be doing their own thing, right? I mean, we saw for a while Austin Theory was kind of the proverbial next up, like the next chosen one, so to speak, for quite a while. And Grayson Waller can be a very entertaining son of a gun, and he seems to be a charming son of a gun too. And hearing him on the mic and doing the Grayson Waller effect, I feel like those two guys are just pushed together because they just seem like, I don't know, fratty, younger alpha dudes. It's like they can be on their own. I think there's enough character in both of them to have them do their own thing. So I think it's just a tag team for the sake of a tag team. And that's why I don't think I'm super into it.
I'm anxious for the turn already. So whenever that does inevitably happen, that's going to be fun. I thought we might see some involvement from Punk on the world title match, but I wasn't expecting that much physicality from him. One of the shortest world title reigns ever, Drew beating Seth. However, after taunting CM Punk, who was ringside calling the action, Punk pulled off the arm brace, that was his right arm protecting the triceps tear, and used it on Drew, which that was inevitably the cue for Damian Priest's music, with him cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase to become the new world champion. Man, short title reign for Drew, even an emotional moment like we mentioned earlier there with his wife at ringside, only to get cocky and start taunting CM Punk like he has been doing for the past several weeks via social media, now in person, and it turned on him.
Yeah, dude, that was so fun to watch. I mean, just hearing Punk down there doing commentary was so dope. Obviously, he's one of the best. But just for Drew to let that, I don't know, man, Drew McIntyre has been on absolute fire. I've actually grown to really appreciate his work and really just this new character. And he's just like, he's kind of trolling people, but he's like this big badass and he's frightening, you know? So to see him kind of, you know, mouth off with Punk and then to see it ultimately backfire was the coolest thing. Let me tell you what my biggest fear was going into this WrestleMania, and then I'll get back to Drew. My biggest fear going into WrestleMania was that Cody was going to finish the story, right? Like we've invested our time into for 2 years to see. At this point, my girlfriend's tired of hearing about Cody Rhodes and his damn story. She just wants me to shut up already.
Sure.
I was deathly afraid Cody was going to pull it off, only for Damian Priest to cash in on him.
Yeah.
If that would have happened, I would have took to the internet with an outrage like you would have never heard before. I would have went on the air here in Denver, cursing Damian Priest one way each way. That was my biggest fear going in, that they were going to give it to us and then they were going to take it away. Ultimately, that's what happened to Drew McIntyre. And with him being the bad guy, you know, we didn't mind that so much, especially, you know, just to see Punk's reaction and how happy he was about it and how smug he was about it. He's like, look, man, this is what happens when you mess with the Second City Saint.
You talking about Drew, man. We've talked about it here on the show before, leading up to WrestleMania, that this is the best work Drew has ever done in his career right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see what he does with the world title. So the Raw after WrestleMania 38, that's when Cody set up the story that he proclaimed he needed to finish. That was to raise above his head the WWE Championship and it not be taken away from him like it was from his father, Dusty. We all thought that surely in 1 year's time, Cody would collide with Roman and fulfill that story. But at WrestleMania 39, it was not to be. And it was another sign that WWE was now in the business of long-term storytelling. The Raw after WrestleMania 39, we also saw the sign that Cody was going to have to go through his own hard times story, much like his father, Cody's beginning with Brock Lesnar. You talk about hard times. That road was long and treacherous, and somehow it felt as though the road from 39 to 40 was much, much longer than that road from 38 to 39. But for fans that were patient and believed, were indeed rewarded last weekend in Philly when Cody placed the WWE Championship in the hands of his mother. Even just saying this right now, I'm getting chills and a little emotional again. And this time, this title was not taken away. JR, have you felt that there's been a better story in pro wrestling in your lifetime?
Honestly, dude, the other story that comes to mind is obviously the NWO, which is probably one of the biggest of my fandom. But as far as a story from start to finish that has a great finish and that you've been invested in for this long, not even close. This one is hands down, dude. Like, I liked Cody enough. I thought he was really talented. I thought he was cool. You know, I remember seeing him in Nashville when he was with Ring of Honor, and that was super cool. I was like, oh, I got to see Cody and the Bucks and those guys, you know, because they were disturbing stuff. But for Cody to go on and to become the superstar that he has, and there's something just super relatable about him. He's not afraid to be emotional. You know, with me talking on the air every day, you know, being emotional is something that I need to be because I need to convey that to my audience. So that's something that I can appreciate. And just the seriousness in which Cody takes this profession, it makes you believe in it even more. The way that he dresses, the way that he acts, the way that he talks, the way that he addresses the audience. Cody Rhodes is the biggest babyface in the industry right now, and he's quickly climbing my Mount Rushmore of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And a lot of that is because of this story, this investment 24 calendar months we waited to see this happen, and the payoff was even better than I could have imagined. I don't know about for you.
Yeah, no, it was the same. I mean, it's easy to get impatient when we're going through it. And it's like, oh man, come on, just do something now that would help us believe a little bit more. But getting to the end and watching every piece that happened was told perfectly. Yep. I think if we can tweak one thing, and I mean, who can not like The Undertaker, right? But instead of Undertaker, it was Stone Cold. That would have been the only thing. And there's rumors out there of what did and didn't happen, what was going to happen, and what would have happened. But what we got was about as close to perfection as I think we're going to get. Listen, he's think fresh out of that sponge bath. Michael's on watching right now and says, "Stop,
Stop making me cry,
dude." All of us. It is the Guy Cry Fest WrestleMania 40 recap. I think is really hope you're feeling better, buddy. And you can always type. You can't talk, but you can type. Tonsillectomy. Top to bottom, in and out, through and through. I personally give WrestleMania 40 an A. There's always things that you can improve on, and hindsight, of course, is 2020. But in the moment, at its core, I believe it's the best WrestleMania I've ever seen, and I've watched all of them since I've watched all of them, all 40.
Right.
So,
well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Right up until this point, if you were to ask me, so let's like rewind 2 weeks, right? WrestleMania 40 hasn't happened yet.
Right.
If you were to ask me what is the best WrestleMania of all time, which one do you think I'm going to say?
Probably either Rock Stone Cold. What is that? 17 or 18, whatever that, and then or Rock and Hogan.
Right. So Rock and Hogan is 18.
18
Rock and Austin main evented 3 times at 3 different Manias. First being WrestleMania 15. Last one I think was it 19 in Seattle?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I think that is right. Yeah.
My favorite one of all time has always been WrestleMania 17. I think it was in Houston, Texas. They had the gimmick battle royal. I don't know why, but that match always stands out to me. And it was the night that Austin shook hands with the devil, right?
Him turning.
Not the ending we wanted, but the WrestleMania itself was just spectacular. Everything was at a fever pitch. The matches were great. The presentation was great. The comedy was great. The athletic, like everything about it was great. But now I'm having a hard time because we're getting 2 nights now, right? So you got to take the good with the bad with that though as well.
Very true.
But asking me now, what is the best WrestleMania of all time? I do firmly believe with Cody Rhodes finishing the story in the grand fashion that he did, even with after night 1 getting the odds stacked against him even more, which was even more thrilling to see. WrestleMania 40 is the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And that's just not a tagline. It's going to be the biggest and the best and the fastest. And this isn't a promo for Bianca Belair, but it truly is the best WrestleMania of all time from top to bottom. You talk about really good matches. You talk about moments. You talk about comedy. You talk about top tier storytelling. And let me tell you a thing that I missed in the main event of night 2. There was so much madness happening, and you had alluded to The Undertaker earlier. Talk about a pop for that guy, right?
Yeah, huge.
Now, if the glass had broken like you had suggested, the pop would have been a little bit bigger, but it was still unbelievable because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
Right? There's the moment in all the chaos, and we're watching this at the toy shop, and we're freaking out, bro. All of us, right? Having such a blast. And the Shield music hits. And immediately I'm like, oh man, Seth Rollins is back up to his trolling ways, right? And then there's that moment in between, which has since the show been discussed and, kind of dissected. But in the moment, I wasn't even aware of what was happening because it was just so chaotic that I couldn't put the 2 and 2 together. But when Roman Reigns looks back at Cody and then looks back at a struggling Seth Rollins in his Shield garb and decides to put that chair over the back of Seth rather than focus on the contest, it goes to exactly what you said. Long-term storytelling.
Was that 10 years? 10 years since that happened with the Shield?
He never forgot.
Yep.
And that's one of those things where I don't know if you like experience this, but I get like post WrestleMania depression, like when it's over, like I go back and immediately watch the show again. Yeah, because you don't want it to end, because it's just, it's everything that's good with the world. When pro wrestling is done right, it is the best entertainment in the world, and I'll always stand by that.
Well, it's going to be one of those things that, is this the best WrestleMania ever? We have 39 of them before. I think we need 5, 6 to come after to really narrow down everything great about this and truly appreciate it like we should. But one thing that I think will stand out, and has already in my mind has started to stand out every time I've heard it in a replay again, is Samantha's emotional call. She will have a call that will live forever in the world of pro wrestling. Her announcing through tears, you've tried to talk when you cry before. Oh, and it's not easy. It's not you. It doesn't even sound like you for the majority of it. You're struggling to get through it. And everybody else's emotion feels like it's summed up in Samantha's call at the end. You're new. And choking back tears as she's saying it is just iconic. And who knew that would be her moment, at least for now, moving forward. And it's going to be one of those things that you hear JR saying, "As God is my witness, he is broken in half," or the
irresistible force, meaning the immovable object.
That's beautiful. Exactly. You're going to have Samantha's call in that world right there forever in pro wrestling.
You know, let me tell you, man, I know you were at the show live, which was super dope. But let me tell you what made Samantha's her announcement, her call, even that much more emotional and powerful, is because I'm watching this at home, and as Cody gets the pin, you don't get the 1, the 2, the 3. Instead, Michael Cole on each cadence says, "Finished the story." And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now, bro. Seriously. So and good. Then it goes to Samantha and she breaks. And then I'm in there like around all my boys. So I'm trying to be tough, right? Like I'm trying to hold it in. Yeah. But we're all tearing up, dude. And we're all like, "Cody, finish the story." I even wore this shirt here at the event, which is an action figure photography photo of Cody that my boy Matthew Goldberg, I think is his name on Instagram, MGB, took this picture.
Oh, that's good.
And I said, I got my American Nightmare shirt, but I'm super into these Mattel toys now. Let me get one that's printed of a figure. And it was just so spectacular, man. And yeah, I love pro wrestling, and I don't care who knows it.
Same here. JR here is a collector, as he just mentioned, with the Mattel toys, and this hobby has taken him on trips too. I want to hear all about this, and I'll chat with JR on how all this got started when we come back here on the WrestleChat Podcast. Hang on for a second.
Do you ever just want to sit back and talk movies, TV, and sports with your friends? Well, I've got something special for you. Check out the Man-Child Chronicles podcast, where 4 friends hang out and talk everything entertainment and sports. Come and join Ryan, John, Mike, and Jay for a new episode, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. The Man-Child Chronicles. Growing up never took so long.
Your favorite homie JR from iHeart's Hits 95.7 in Colorado, hanging here on the premiere episode of season 2 of the WrestleChat Podcast. JR, really good to have you on here this morning. You are a memorabilia collector, more mainly action figure collector. How did you get started doing this hobby?
So I definitely recall being at a random Target one day. I think I had to go in to pick up some, I don't even know what it was. But for some reason, I strolled through the toy aisle.
And you left spending $300. I know how it works.
Come on, dude. Yeah, been there, right? So at this point, I was only into like vintage toys, which for me are like the WWE Jakks bone guys, right? With their knees and their arms that kind of crack. Ugly looking toys, right? But that was the jam when I was that age, And eventually I sold those all off. And I was like, I wonder what the toys look like now. And I just remember rolling through and I saw this Raw 30th anniversary 3-pack with Razor Ramon, The Undertaker, and the 1-2-3 Kid. And I thought, man, I have an extra $60 in my pocket that I can just burn right now. So sure. Let me go ahead and pick this up. And for months, it just sat in the box. And I just would, kind of walk by and look at it. And of course, I'm seeing all the stuff with Matt Cardona, Let Him Breathe. And I'm, slowly starting to watch his stuff. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to open them up. So I opened them up. And from that moment, it was over. It was over, bro. It's been 1 year now since I got into this hobby with the Mattels. And I'm waist deep, dude. I am waist deep. It is consuming, but in a good way. If you're, responsible about it, which I'm typically not, but I try to be, it's like, man, rent's due tomorrow, but the new Ultimate Yokozuna is coming out in a couple of weeks. So it's just, what it is, man. It's the nostalgia of it, right? And it is the best representation of it because they look so good now. The faces and just the paint, like everything about it, they look so phenomenal. And nostalgia can be a dangerous thing if you're not careful. And I've learned that the hard way a few times. But it's the nostalgia of it. It's the actual thrill of the hunt. I can't tell you how many shops and how many stores and, major retailers I've gone out to, and it's just a swing and a miss. But that one day that you turn that corner and you bump into the new, Hogan 3-pack, which was a must have for me. I'm the biggest Hogan guy, right? It's so cool. And I get to meet so many people and, not to get deep here, but moving out here to Denver for this job, I was basically here just for this job, right? Just to advance my broadcasting career.
Sure.
I wasn't in the business of making friends or meeting people. And that's no way to live, especially for a grown man. Like us humans need interaction with other people. And I've been able to get that through this hobby. I've met so many people, shop owners, fellow collectors, and just different walks of life that are into this same kind of, plastic universe. And I get some really good pals out of it, man. And like you had mentioned, I get to go and visit a bunch of cool shops, and I love to film and make content. And, the bottom line of it is I get to make something out of it. So I get to share my experience with somebody else as well.
Well, you and I have talked about this privately, but for those that are wondering, you actually choose to take the figures out of the box. And for so long, that's been perceived as, a no-no in the collector's world. What was your feeling on this, and that made you decide to unbox it? You said that was kind of when you decided to be a collector, when you took it out of the box. But what made you go, I'm not gonna leave it in its pretty packaging. I'm gonna take it out and I'm actually going to handle it, touch it, look at it.
It was a couple of things, bro, and that's a good question. One of them, which is Matt Cardona, obviously preaching, let him breathe, let him breathe, let him breathe, open him up, right? And that's just fun. Like it's thrilling to open that packaging, right? The other part of it is space. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment here in Denver, Colorado. So I don't have a man cave yet. I don't own a home yet, right? Because I don't know where I'm ultimately going to end up in my career.
Sure.
So having just a plethora of boxes sitting around the apartment just is not, space-wise responsible.
Sure.
And then also it's like, sure, you can display them, with their spines, and you can see, like a book, right? But you can't actually see the figure.
Yeah.
So and again, if that's the way that people choose to collect, that's what's beautiful about it. Do it any way you want. You can be all in or all out, or you can, do a mixture.
Well, you can see
to me
the Funko Pops. I was the same way.
Yeah.
I don't want the box. You're right. The box takes up so much space too. I'll never get to see the backside of whatever, if it was a John Cena, I don't get to see the bald spot on the back of his head.
Right. And that's what we're here for.
Exactly. That's why I took him out. And that's really been the fun part for me as well on not the figure side. I have a few of them over here to my right that you see you don't see, they're off camera, and I have left those in the boxes, but the Funko Pops I've them all out. And
well, just think, man, if you had those pops still in the box behind you, you'd have a bunch of shiny stuff coming back at your camera. Like that wouldn't look nice.
That's true.
And
unless it's shining off those belts, that's all right.
Oh, the belts look so good, especially that winged eagle, bro. I've had that in my WWE shop cart dozens of times, dude.
Right there. I'll tell you, I pulled the trigger on that one. I want to say it was less than 4 hours. It was probably a little longer than that, but it was right around 4 hours. That was on sale. I bought it for $180.
Oh my golly!
Whatever reason it was on sale, dual plated. Yes, I agree. Your videos, you mentioned those are so good. You do such a great job at that. You showcase each and every figure. Tell people where they can find your unboxings. You go buy a new one wherever you get it, whether it be a toy store, Target, Walmart, whatever, and then you bring it back home and you show it to the world. Where can they go see those?
Yeah, really, I have the same handle everywhere. It's at your fave homie JR, which is a stage name I've had since, probably the late 2000s, from making music, before DJing, before radio, before Mattel took a hold of my wallet. So yeah, at your fave homie JR on all platforms, Instagram, X, I guess we're calling it now, YouTube as well. So it's all there, man. And, real quick, one of the things that really brings me a lot of joy with this stuff is setting them up. I recently I took my first ever trip to IKEA, which people couldn't believe. I had never been to an IKEA before, but growing up in New England, we didn't have those. So I bought my first glass case, and I tell you, man, I was so excited to put the risers in there and get the stands and, get them, I got the Golden Age and the New Gen and the Attitude. And then I got this shelf and that, and it's just setting them up and just putting them right and accessorizing them, dude. It's just, it's the best. And, I love going out on the hunts, and that's what you're going to predominantly see. I just did a trip out to Phoenix so I could visit a store out there, which was really cool. And I like to make, short form content, kind of reels, shorts, right to the point. And they rely heavy on voiceover.
Yeah. So you get to feature everything that you work on daily, but get to do it with the fun stuff.
Right.
And not the sales piece that just came down. Yes. We have a little bit more to talk a little bit about Raw, a little bit about SmackDown. You got a little bit to hang with us?
Of course, brother. I'm here.
Awesome. Okay. So Raw left many wondering what Rock handed Cody. However, on SmackDown last night, we seemed to get somewhat of an answer. Kind of. We'll chat about that. Plus, let's talk about that all-in footage. Yeah, we're going to go there a little bit on the WrestleChat podcast. Still to come. Hang on. Monday, Cody is interrupted by the final boss, The Rock. And my screen just went blank. Nope, this one's still good. Let's see here. He was confronted by the final boss, The Rock. He says he has to go away to Hollywood for a little while. He asks Cody if The Rock can hold Cody's title. A moment that was met with, this is awkward chance. And yes, that part of it really was. I don't know where we're going with that. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the future. And I get a little bit, you know what, if you can gain a little ground by getting to touch and hold the title, maybe it's something that is going to lead you to having a battle for coming up in the future, just because you got a little taste of touching that undisputed WWE title, newly out of the hands of Cody Rhodes. And then Rock hands something to Cody. And he says, never break my heart again before leaving. The rest of the show, and really the rest of the week, it left us all wondering what Rock could have possibly handed Cody. Personally, I thought we were going to play off of the real life situation of Cody's bus catching on fire at WrestleMania. And maybe what he had handed Cody was a lighter. However, Cody either squashed or helped confirmed what many were thinking and said it was something personal, a gift that Cody gave The Rock. Now, Cody mentioned that he got Seth a Rolex and gifted it to him before their match at WrestleMania, their tag match against Roman and Rock. He also alluded that others having that same watch too, but wouldn't say names. I thought he got one for the other three members of that tag match on night one. So himself, Seth, Roman, and The Rock. That leads me to believe that maybe The Rock gave back the watch. Smashed maybe, broken maybe. What does that mean for their next encounter? That's something we'll have to wait and see. Something else that happened pre-Mania, CM Punk opened up about his side of All In and the encounter that led to him departing AEW. Following Punk's comments, Tony and the Bucks announced that they were going to air that backstage footage, the real footage. Initially, many believed it would be a work and they'd spin to something else. But when we got to Wednesday, we found out, no, it was indeed the real footage, sans the sound. Did you find yourself in front of a TV on Wednesday watching AEW, JR, just for this footage?
No, I did not.
Social media.
Absolutely not. Yep. The way that I keep up with a lot of my wrestling is through social media, through Instagram, or I'll get off the air and come home and fire up YouTube and see what happened on SmackDown, I knew it would be on there. I was the tiniest bit curious about it.
Did you watch the interview with Ariel Helwani? Did you see? Of
course. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, come on.
His side.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I think, and I've heard this take before, but I think what we saw in the footage just kind of confirmed that Punk was kind of just telling the truth.
Well, here's what I think is very, very fascinating. Two people on different sides of the fence, much like our political landscape in 2024, can look at the exact same footage, not from a different angle, not from another camera view, not with audio and one without audio, the exact same angle, exact same footage, and have two very, very polarizing and very different views. It was interesting to watch for me because mainly for where are they going to go with it? Because my conclusion doesn't matter so much as thoughts on this. Did or didn't, what it did or didn't do for AEW. I think many they call it in the industry, and I hate using terms of an industry that I'm not actually a part of, especially inside terms, but I've heard them say stuff like this being hot shot booking, something quick to bring in viewers, bring in eyeballs for a quick hit, but that isn't long-term storytelling either. And that's not something that brings people back to watch again and again. Now, listen, if we follow up next week with something more intriguing that leads to, I don't know, Perry coming back, something siding with the Young Bucks against the Young Bucks, whatever it is, I just hope it's not like, I'm pissed that you talk about this, I'm going to show the real footage and we move on. Because what does that do?
Nothing. And being the Eazy-E Eric Bischoff guy that I am, I definitely appreciate his takes on this.
Sure.
And I'm unapologetic about it. I think he's really nailed put the nail right on the head. It's neither of these guys are on your show. Who does this actually help rather than maybe somebody's personal ego? If anything, all it did for me was clear up any apprehension I had about Punk coming back to the WWE, because if you remember at Survivor Series around that time, WWE is just on fire. Everything is hitting on all cylinders. And with everything you're hearing over on the other side in the other show, it's kind of like, well, you don't want him to bring any of that over here. Like no. Like we enjoy the show. We don't need any of this. All that did was sure up in my mind that this, Jungle Jack guy is probably just a little punk ass, man. And I think Punk could have done a lot worse to him in the clip that I saw.
The story right now feels like, so from the Bucks The story was we as EVPs are having our biggest night, and we had to not think about our match anymore and go think about this junk. Well, I mean, I don't know what to the normal casual viewer that does, because we don't know what you do. We don't know what you do behind the scenes. I don't know what an EVP at AEW actually does. And if you're not going to bring us in on that, why do we care what this did to you as an EVP? I mean, for everybody watching, for everyone watching, you're a boss that had to take their mind off of one thing and put it on something else. The employees don't care. They just don't. I don't know. You don't understand what a boss doesn't fully understand in the typical world is what I mean, is that a boss doesn't necessarily understand all the things that an employee has to deal with, and vice versa. The employee doesn't have to deal with all the stuff a boss does. That's why you're a boss and why I'm an employee. But AEW definitely needs a story that will bring people back again and again. And I'll come clean and say I was not an early adopter of the Bloodline in WWE. But
interesting,
they had a story to tell here, so they stuck with it. At that time, I was so used to it being like, here's something. Oh, hang on, here's something else.
Yeah,
oh, hang on, here's something else. And
I'll tell you, man, the whole thing with like All Elite, it's and again, I've purchased several of their shows in the beginning because I wanted to be a fan. I wanted to like it. Having more options for us is better. It's for that radical 1%er. And you probably know the exact guy that I'm talking about. You've seen him at your local indie show, and he's out of control. So think of a room of 3,000-4,000 people of that one guy. Yeah. And then we're going to tell you this story and show you this like security footage. And then you're just narrowing down even more. You're just funneling down even more. You're finding the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And you lost me. Completely lost me. Yeah. It's where's the story
that's easy to follow for sure.
Right. Where's the good guy? Where's the bad guy? Yeah. I don't want this like shades of gray and EVP and SVP and RVD. Like, just give me something that's simple to watch, bro, because the athleticism usually on that program isn't the problem. It's just, you don't know why people are fighting each other. Yep. And there's all this like inside baseball stuff, which is just, no, come on, dumb it down and just make me invest.
Well, imagine if you went on the air and started talking inside radio terms. People will go, I don't know what a remote is.
They would tune out immediate. Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Well, speaking of long-term storytelling and speaking of the Bloodline, do we even have time to get into all that was implied in such a short amount of time on Friday night? Bloodline has a new member in and one out. Jimmy is out. Tama Tonga is in. Who's Tama Tonga? Make sure you watch next week. They're going to tell more of that. By orders of the tribal chief, this all happened. So that makes me wonder, because I mean, even Paul lifted up his phone to call the tribal chief, got that knocked out of his hand and stomped on. This story is deep. It's ever changing. And maybe more importantly, it continues without the actual presence of Roman Reigns. That's huge, JR.
Yeah, it was getting off the air last night. Like I alluded to earlier, I'm checking Instagram, I'm checking YouTube. I want to know, like, the WWE has me to the point again where I want to know what happened on the show, right? Not just, I'll wait and hear about it next week.
Sure.
I got to know tonight. And to see what I did with Solo kind of assuming the role of, I don't want to say he's like the new head of the table, but he's certainly, showing his chest, peacocking a bit, putting it out there. And then for them to turn on Jimmy and bring in this, the only way that I know this Tonga guy is from like Bullet Club days, right?
Yep.
So I don't know too much about him. I never even knew that he was Haku's son, which now makes me think he could beat up probably anybody.
Anyone. Yep.
Right. Yep. And I don't know, man, I'm real curious. It's like one thing has just ended with Cody defeating Roman, but now I can fantasy book this whole thing in my mind where Solo kind of has his own bloodline. And whenever Roman does arrive, people are going to lose their minds for him, because there's like this weird thing where you've like hated him all this time, where you've loved to hate him rather. And then the moment that he's not there anymore, you're kind of like, damn, you know what? Why didn't I appreciate him more while he was here? You know what I mean?
My wife said last night, she watches often with, especially SmackDown. And she said, well, where's Roman? When's he going to be on? I don't think you're going to see him for a few months.
Yeah.
He'll be off. Man, you talk about this being deep. Everybody thought that after Cody wins the title, well, then the story's over and we don't know what else is going to happen. But that's the cool part in WWE now, is that we don't know what else is going to happen. But we do know that we have some great people in charge that have carried everything up to now and are excited about where we're going in the future. And I'm excited to watch too. Next week, we'll find out Cody's first challenger for the undisputed WWE Championship at Backlash and Friends. Does AJ Styles get another shot at the title, or will this be LA Knight's turn? We'll find out next week on SmackDown. JR, it was awesome getting to connect with you, even after all the technical difficulties. We made it in and we got to chat some wrestling this week. Thank you for taking the time to jump over here and hang with us, man. I appreciate you.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. And remember, if you don't recall anything I said this entire show, remember this one thing right here. It's cool to be you.
For JR and Michael Glavin, who is he getting another sponge bath right now? No, eating
Get well soon, buddy.
Get well soon, but he'll be back with us next week. I'm the AntMan, and we'll see you next week on the WrestleChat Podcast.